Hello, a very good afternoon. Welcome to the Weekend News Review on MBN TV. We're coming to you live from our 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate. I am your host, L. Samuels. It is a pleasure to have you with us as we look back at the biggest story that shaped the week in Ghana and around the world. This afternoon, we will revisit the major headlines in politics, business, health, sports, entertainment, and international affairs, providing context, analysis, and the key development you need to know. From government decisions and economic updates to major sporting moments and inspiring human interests and stories, we will separate the headlines from facts and examine what they mean for you. Stay with us as we review the stories that made news and the issues that continue to shape our nation and the world. Remember, you can also join us on 0537158638 on a WhatsApp or SMS. Send us a message reacting to the stories. We'll later give you the opportunity to join us by way of your comment in a minute, where you tell us which stories really touched you. And also be looking at our headline stories. We'll be having a conversation with one of our reporters on the ground. Today is day 2 of the national cleaning exercise after the flood disaster. Now let's start from the seat of government, where the President John Dramani Mahama charged Christians to place greater value on integrity and godly character rather than the positions of influence or authority. He says true faith is demonstrated through humility, service, honesty, and compassion, not by titles or power.
President John Dramani Mahama has called on Christians to live lives that reflect genuine faith through good character and moral integrity. Speaking at a Christian gathering, the president stressed that titles, influence, and positions of authority do not define a true believer. Instead, he said faith is measured by humility, honesty, compassion, and a commitment to serving others. Mr. Mahama urged Christians to become positive examples in their homes, workplaces, and communities by demonstrating values that inspire trust and promote national development. He noted that a society built on strong moral principles, accountability, and selfless leadership is essential for Ghana's progress. The president's remarks come as religious leaders continue to encourage citizens to uphold ethical values and contribute to nation building through exemplary conduct.
He gives you the talent of being able to see the future and prophesy. But those are God's gifts to you. The day you start losing that gift is when you think that that power is your own. So when a man of God who has been given a gift begins to think that that power comes from himself as human being, that is the day God will start taking that power. The day you go and say, hey, unime.
Do you know me?
Many also for estimacy.
I am Pastor Reverend Oden so. Haven't you heard about me? Haven't you heard the miracle I'm performing? I am the one who raised the dead. You are dead. You are
God will take that power from you. And so he gives you, if he gives you those gifts, you must be humble about it and know that that power comes from the Almighty.
It is our mouth,
so let us return to integrity. Let us return to service. Let us return to the faith that built our homes, our churches, and our nation. The faith that our fathers handed over to us. It's not a memory that we must just sit and admire. It is a path that we must follow.
Away from that story, the Minister for Education says government will expand medical expertise education, and training to increase the number of healthcare professionals and improve Ghana's doctor-to-patient ratio.
Government has announced plans to expand medical education as part of efforts to strengthen the country's healthcare workforce. According to the Minister for Education, the initiative will increase training opportunities for medical students through expanded infrastructure, enhanced teaching capacity, and improved support for health training institutions. The minister said the move is aimed at producing more doctors and addressing the country's doctor-to-patient ratio, particularly in underserved and rural communities where access to healthcare remains a challenge. Government believes the investment will help bridge the healthcare workforce gap, improve service delivery, and ensure more equitable access to quality medical care across the country. The expansion forms part of broader efforts to strengthen both Ghana's education and healthcare sectors while meeting the growing demand for skilled medical professionals.
And still with education, a University Teachers Association of Ghana has suspended its nationwide strike after receiving assurance from the government on concerns surrounding conditions of service and other outstanding issues.
The University Teachers Association of Ghana has called off its nationwide industrial action following discussions with government officials. The association says the decision comes after receiving firm assurances that steps will be taken to address key concerns, including conditions of service and other outstanding commitments. UTAG noted that while the strike has been suspended, it will continue to monitor government's implementation of the agreed measures and expects concrete progress within the agreed timelines. The association also reaffirmed its commitment to protecting the welfare of university lecturers while ensuring that academic activities resume across public universities. The suspension is expected to allow teaching, learning, and other academic activities to return to normal as stakeholders continue engagements aimed at resolving the outstanding issues.
And still with the presidency, the president has dismissed claims that plan a state visit of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to Ghana is linked to recent wave of xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Government spokesperson Felix Kwakye says the visit was scheduled long before the incident and forms part of ongoing diplomatic engagement between the two countries.
Government has clarified that the upcoming state's visit of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to Ghana was arranged well before the recent xenophobic attacks targeting foreign nationals in South Africa. Presidential spokesperson Felix Kwakye says suggestions that the visit is a response to the attacks are inaccurate, explaining that the trip is part of a long-standing diplomatic program aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between Ghana and South Africa. His comments come amid growing concern over renewed attacks on foreign nationals in parts of South Africa, which have sparked calls for stronger protection of migrants and increased diplomatic engagement across the continent. The Ghanaian government says it remains committed to safeguarding the welfare of its citizens abroad while continuing to engage South African authorities through established diplomatic channels. President Ramaphosa's visit is expected to focus on enhancing cooperation in trade, investment, regional security, and other areas of mutual interest between the two nations.
Moving on, we go straight to the Interior Ministry, where the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, says authorities have identified 102 unapproved border routes in the Volta region, raising concerns about border security, smuggling, and transactional crime.
The Interior Minister, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, has disclosed that security agencies have identified 102 unapproved border routes in the Volta region alone, According to the minister, the numerous unauthorized crossing points pose significant security risks, including smuggling, illegal migration, human trafficking, and other forms of cross-border crime. He said government is strengthening border surveillance through increased security deployments, intelligence gathering, and closer collaboration with local communities to curb illegal activities along Ghana's eastern frontier. The minister emphasized that protecting the country's borders is essential to safeguarding national security, preserving economic stability, and combating organized crime. Government has assured the public that measures are being intensified to monitor the unapproved routes and strengthen border management while facilitating safe and lawful cross-border movement.
From the Interior Ministry to the Greater Accra region, where the Greater Accra region is relying on two operational landfill sites to manage the growing volumes of waste generated daily, raising concerns about the region's waste management capacity and the urgent need for expanded disposable and recycling infrastructure.
Greater Accra currently depends on only two operational landfill sites to dispose of the thousands of tons of waste generated across the region each day. The situation has heightened concerns among environmental experts and waste management stakeholders who warn that the existing facilities are under increasing pressure as the population grows and urbanization accelerates. They say inadequate waste disposal infrastructure, coupled with poor waste segregation and illegal dumping, continues to pose significant environmental and public health risks. Stakeholders are calling for greater investment in modern waste management systems, including additional landfill sites, recycling facilities, composting plants, and improved waste collection services. They argue that expanding waste infrastructure and promoting responsible waste disposal are essential to improving sanitation, protecting the environment, and supporting sustainable urban development in the Greater Accra region.
Now we move to the seat of government, where the president has announced that cabinet has set to finalize agreement on position a paper on constitutional review, describing it as a major step towards implementing reforms are strengthening Ghana's democratic governance and state institutions.
President John Dramani Mahama says cabinet will soon finalize government's position paper on the constitutional review process, paving the way for key governance reforms. According to the president, the position paper will outline government's response to recommendations from previous constitutional review exercises and sets the stage for broader stakeholder engagement and implementation. He emphasized that the review is intended to strengthen democratic institutions, improve accountability, enhance the separation of powers, and ensure the 1992 Constitution better reflects the aspirations of the Guinean people. President Mahama reaffirmed his administration's commitment to an inclusive and transparent reform process, stressing that constitutional reforms are essential to deepening democracy, promoting good governance, and advancing national development.
We've gone quite far. Cabinet is meeting on Friday to complete the government position paper. After that, I think the legal counsel and the attorney general will take about a week or two to put it all together. And after that is done, we'll, together with the Constitutional Review Committee report and the government position paper, we'll hand it over to the Constitutional Review Implementation Committee to kickstart the process of the constitutional review. The 1992 Constitution has served us very well. It's been one of our best constitutions, and that is what has, been the underpinnings of the Fourth Republic. And the Fourth Republic has lasted longer than any other republic in our history. And so we believe that any tweaking of the Constitution will only go to strengthen it even more and make it a living document to take us for the next 30 years. And so we appreciate the support that you have given.
A court has dismissed an ex-party application filed by former Attorney General Godfrey Dame Yeboah seeking an order to produce a former National Food Buffer Stock Company Chief Executive, Hanan Abdu.
A court has declined an ex parte application by former Attorney General Godfred Yebo Adami seeking an order to produce former National Food Buffer Stock Company Chief Executive Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba. The application was intended to secure the appearance of the former NAFCO CEO in connection with ongoing legal proceedings. In dismissing the request, the court ruled that the application did not satisfy the legal requirements necessary for granting the ex parte order. The case is expected to continue as the parties pursue the appropriate legal processes, with further proceedings anticipated in court.
Away from the course, we go to the Ghana AIDS Commission. Says the 1,300 applicants who recorded reactive HIV test results during the ongoing security services recruitment exercise have not been diagnosed with HIV, stressing that reactive screening test requires confirmatory testing.
The Ghana AIDS Commission has clarified that 1,300 applicants who recorded reactive HIV test results during the security services recruitment exercise have not been confirmed as HIV positive. According to the Commission, a reactive screening result is only a preliminary finding and must be followed by confirmatory test before any diagnosis can be made. The Commission is urging the public to avoid misinformation and stigma, emphasizing that no individual should be labeled HIV positive based solely on an initial screening result. It also encouraged affected applicants to undergo the recommended confirmatory testing and counseling, while assuring the public that Ghana's HIV testing protocols are designed to ensure accurate diagnosis and appropriate care.
President John Dramani Mahama has affirmed his administration's commitment to tracking Accra's persistent flooding, promised stronger investment in drainage infrastructure, stricter enforcement against illegal development, and coordinated measures to reduce the impact of heavy rains on lives and property.
President John Dramani Mahama has pledged decisive action to minimize flooding in Accra, describing the recurring disaster as a major national concern that demands urgent and lasting solutions. The president says government is intensifying efforts to improve drainage systems, desilt major waterways, and strengthen urban planning to reduce the devastating impact of seasonal rains. He also stressed the need for stronger enforcement of building regulations, warning that illegal construction on waterways and poor waste disposal continue to worsen flooding across the capital. The renewed commitment comes as many residents continue to demand permanent solutions to the annual floods that claim lives, destroy property, disrupt businesses, and leave thousands displaced. Government says it will work closely with relevant agencies, local authorities, and communities to implement sustainable flood prevention measures and build a safer, more resilient Accra.
We might not be able to completely eliminate flooding because it's a natural disaster that happens not only in our part of the world, it happens in other areas, but we can minimize it and make its effect less disastrous like what happened. In this particular case, all countries from Gabon to Cote d'Ivoire reported flooding and some loss of lives. Some much higher than us, and like we Christians say, in everything we give thanks, and we hope that we should be able to work so that we ameliorate the difficulty that people are suffering.
Meanwhile, government spokesperson Phyllis Kwasi-Ofosu has dismissed calls by the minority in Parliament for the removal of the Attorney General over the disbursement of 350 million Ghana cedis for flood relief prevention, and describing the allegation as baseless and politically motivated.
The government has rejected claims by the minority in parliament demanding the removal of the Attorney General over the management and disbursement of 350 million Ghana cedis allocated for flood-related interventions. Government spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu says the accusations lack merit and are based on unfounded claims aimed at creating public mistrust. He insists that the funds are being handled through due processes and that government remains committed to ensuring transparency and accountability in the use of public resources. The minority has raised concerns over the release and utilization of the flood funds, calling for investigations and accountability from officials responsible. But the government maintains that every step taken has been in line with established procedures and that efforts are focused on addressing the urgent needs of communities affected by flooding.
And still at the seat of government of Ghana and the Republic of Korea have signed a $28 million agreement aimed at strengthening science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and STEM education with a focus on improving infrastructure, technical skills, and innovation among students.
Ghana and the Republic of Korea have signed a $28 million agreement to boost science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, commonly known as STEM education across the country. The partnership is expected to support the development of modern STEM facilities, enhance technical and vocational training, and equip students with the practical skills needed to compete in a technology-driven global economy. Government says the agreement reflects its commitment to expanding access to quality STEM education and preparing Ghana's young people for careers in innovation, engineering, digital technology, and industrial development. Officials from both countries expressed confidence that the collaboration will deepen bilateral relations while contributing to Ghana's long-term human capital development and economic transformation. The initiative forms part of broader efforts to strengthen the country's education sector and build a workforce equipped for the demands of the fourth industrial revolution.
Now we're moving back still with the presidency, with the President John Dramani Mahama and the Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman have joined residents and state agencies in a nationwide cleanup exercise with a major focus on flood-affected communities in Accra. The exercise is aimed at cleaning debris, improving sanitation, and reducing the risk of future flooding.
President John Dramani Mahama and Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman have led government officials, security agencies, and residents in a major national cleanup exercise targeting areas recently affected by flooding. The exercise, which brought together hundreds of volunteers, focused on removing waste, clearing blocked drains, and restoring affected communities as part of efforts to improve sanitation and strengthen flood prevention measures. The president said maintaining clean communities requires a collective responsibility, urging citizens to make sanitation a daily commitment and not only respond after disasters occur. The cleanup forms part of broader government efforts to address the recurring flooding challenge by improving drainage systems, enforcing environmental regulations, and promoting responsible waste disposal. Authorities say the success of the exercise will depend on sustained public participation and a change in attitudes towards sanitation across the country.
So that when they brought the garbage, they don't end at the drain and then they don't go back into the drain. I don't need the applause. We all need to work and support each other. That's more important. Thank you very, very much.
And so in this exercise, let's make sure that after we bring enough capacity to be able to transport this silt and go and dump it somewhere appropriate. If we're able to do this for the next year or two, this drain will have enough capacity to be able to carry the water through. It is because it is half silted
So the volume of water it can take is diminished. And so let me congratulate all Ghanaians who've come out. I've gone around the city. I've seen the turnout has been very good. And after this, the military and other services are going to continue to dredge the main waterways so that these drains can have an outlet to send the water to those wetlands. And so this will be a continuous exercise. And at least once a month, let's set aside one day and all of us come out and clean the city. And with the help of the waste management companies, we'll be able to keep this city clean and also free of flooding. So thank you everybody who came for this exercise.
Government has announced the release of additional financial resources for critical sectors, including health, education, road, as part of measures to accelerate economic recovery and improve public service delivery.
Government says it is removing funding limitations on key sectors to ensure the timely implementation of critical programs aimed at improving the lives of Guineans and supporting economic growth. The move covers priority areas including healthcare delivery, education infrastructure, and road development, sectors described as essential pillars for national transformation. Authorities say the release of these funds will help address challenges such as delays in ongoing projects, improve access to quality healthcare and education, and support the expansion of critical road networks across the country. The government maintains that the intervention forms part of broader efforts to restore economic confidence, create jobs, and improve productivity. However, economic analysts say effective monitoring and transparency will be crucial to ensuring that the funds translate into tangible benefits for citizens. Government says it remains committed to targeted investment that will strengthen the economy and improve social services nationwide.
Now to the corridors of the Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation says local content development will be central to Ghana's future digital broadcasting landscape as government seeks to strengthen the creative industry, promote Ghanaian stories across the digital platforms.
The Communications Minister says Ghana's transition into a new era of digital broadcasting must be driven by strong local content that reflects the country's culture, values, and aspirations. According to the minister, investing in locally produced programs will not only increase Ghana's presence on digital platforms, but also create opportunities for filmmakers, producers, journalists, and other players within the creative economy. He said government is focused on building a digital broadcasting environment that supports innovation, expands access, and enables Guinean content creators to compete globally. The minister emphasized the need for collaboration between broadcasters, technology companies, and content producers to take advantage of the opportunities created by digital transformation. Industry stakeholders have welcomed the move, noting that sustainable funding, training, and improved infrastructure will be key to unlocking the full potential of Ghana's creative sector. The Communications Ministry says the future of broadcasting belongs to platforms that combine technology with quality local content capable of reaching audiences both in Ghana and beyond.
The objective will be to establish a governance and operational framework that will be transparent, equitable, financially sustainable, and capable of supporting continued investment and innovation within Ghana's broadcasting sector. Ultimately, the success of the DTT platform must be measured by its technical performance and its ability to provide reliable broadcasting services, to promote our media pluralism, and to support local content development. Support local content development and ensure that all Ghanaians continue to benefit from accessible, high-quality, free-to-air television services.
And that's it for this afternoon edition of the bringing you up to speed with all the happening. You watching the MBN TV, the weekend review. I'll bring you all up to speed with all the stories that was making the line. One of the major talking points has been the ongoing cleaning exercise. We're trying to get our man on the line to join us, but unfortunately, we're not getting it. But those are the stories that dominated the national conversation this week, from governance and healthcare to education, security, sanitation, and constitutional reforms. One of the week's biggest national activity has been the national cleanup exercise aimed at improving sanitation and also reducing the risk of flooding in communities across the country. Today marks day 2 of the exercise. We will want to cross over to join our team to do that. But once we get them going, we will trek up to join our reporters on the ground. Around the world this week, due some issues has come up. Now we're going straight to the business desk, where we'll bring you all the latest from the business front right after this break. Now turning to the economy, this week brought important development in banking, trade, energy, and industrial growth, with policymakers outlining strategies aimed at strengthening Ghana's long-term economic outlook. Here is our business review. Experts are warning that Ghana could miss out on significant green finance opportunities unless urgent policy and investment actions are taken to support sustained and climate-focused economy.
Ghana risks losing out on emerging global green finance opportunities if it fails to implement stronger policies and investment frameworks. Experts have cautioned. They say the growing global shift towards sustainable finance presents a major opportunity for countries like Ghana to attract climate-related funding, support green infrastructure, and drive low-carbon economic growth. However, they warn that without clear regulatory frameworks, project pipelines, and institutional capacity, the country may struggle to access available green funds from international partnerships and development institutions. Stakeholders are therefore calling for stronger coordination between governments, the private sector, and financial institutions to position Ghana as a competitive destination for green investment. They also emphasize the need for capacity building, transparency, and sustainable project development to fully unlock the benefits of green finance. The warning comes as global investors increasingly prioritize environmental, social, and governance (ESG) standards in funding decisions.
The Bank of Ghana has warned that rising digital fraud poses a major threat to Ghana's transition towards a cash-light economy. The central bank says that public trust remains the foundation of digital payment and must be protected to encourage a wider adoption of economic and electronic transactions.
The Bank of Ghana says trust is the most valuable currency in Ghana's move towards a cash-light economy, warning that increasing cases of digital fraud could slow progress. The central bank says while digital payments offer convenience, speed, and greater financial inclusion, fraud and cyber-related crimes risk undermining public confidence and electronic financial services. Authorities say strengthening consumer protection, improving cybersecurity systems, and increasing public awareness are critical to building a safer digital payments environment. The Bank of Ghana is urging financial institutions, fintech companies, and ushers of digital platforms to take stronger measures to prevent fraud and protect personal financial information. The central bank says maintaining trust in digital systems will be key to achieving a modern, efficient, and inclusive financial ecosystem where more Ghanaians can confidently embrace cashless transactions.
Away from the trust of the currency, government says its flagship 24-hour economic policy is designed to transform Ghana into an industrial powerhouse by 2035 through increased productivity, expanded manufacturing job creation, and a more competitive export-driven economy.
government says the 24-hour economy policy is central to its vision of transforming Ghana into an industrial powerhouse by the year 2035. The initiative seeks to promote round-the-clock economic activities by encouraging businesses and industries to operate in multiple shifts, boosting production, creating sustainable jobs, and increasing national output. Government says the policy will prioritize manufacturing, agro-processing, logistics, transportation, and other strategic sectors, while supporting businesses with improved infrastructure, reliable energy, skill development, and access to finance. Officials believe the program will strengthen Ghana's industrial base, expand exports, attract investment, and accelerate inclusive economic growth, positioning the country as a leading industrial hub in the region.
24-hour economy and accelerated export development program exists to complete it. It's to build an economy that produces what it consumes and export more value than it imports. Our theme this morning names the tools for that work: infrastructure, electric mobility, and sustainable real estate. Energy binds all three. The cost of power decides whether a factory is competitive, whether an electric bus is cheaper to run than a diesel one, and whether a home is affordable to build and to live in. Affordable, reliable, and sustainable power is where trade competitiveness begins. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine with me the Ghana that this power may make possible, a Ghana of 2035, 9 years from today. In this new Ghana, Kuru Afam Plains, farmers and 2 companies in our agro-industrial parks will be turning cassava into industrial starch and tomato paste. At Kabonwile, in the Otu region, an oil palm estate and mill will sustain some 120,000 livelihoods. Barges will carry grain and containers down the Volta Lake to the ports of the south, and electric trucks and buses will move people and goods on charged corridors. Cargo planes will lift fresh produce from Tamale into regional and European markets. Iron ore from Shani will leave Ghanaian mills as steel. And the people who work in this economy will live closer to their jobs.
Now let's move to the extractive and energy sector, where the recovery in production at Ghana's Jubilee oil field is raising expectation of increased petroleum revenue, with government and industry stakeholders optimistic about stronger crude oil output and improved contribution to the national economy.
Renewed production at the Jubilee oil field is raising fresh hopes for higher petroleum revenues and stronger economic performance for Ghana. The recovery follows efforts to improve operations at one of the country's flagship offshore oil fields, with expectations that increased crude oil production will boost government earnings through royalties, taxes, and other petroleum revenues. Industry analysts say stronger output could also support Ghana's foreign exchange reserves, strengthen investor confidence, and provide additional resources for national development projects. While welcoming the improved outlook, experts stress the importance of prudent management of oil revenues, transparency, and continual investment in the petroleum sector to ensure long-term economic benefits. The Jubilee oil field remains a key pillar of Ghana's energy industry, and its performance continues to play a significant role in the country's fiscal and economic outlook.
Moving on, Ghana has secured a new market opportunity in the Gulf region for value-added cocoa products as part of efforts to increase export earning, promote local processing, and move beyond the export of the cocoa bean.
Ghana is making progress in expanding its cocoa markets beyond traditional destinations, with new opportunities emerging in the Gulf region for value-added cocoa products. The move is aimed at increasing the country's share of revenue from cocoa by promoting the processing and export of products such as chocolate, cocoa powder, and other finished cocoa-based goods. Officials say the strategy aligns with government's vision to add more value to Ghana's natural resources, create jobs, and strengthen the country's position in the global cocoa industry. The Gulf markets are expected to provide new opportunities for Ghanaian cocoa processors and businesses seeking to expand their reach internationally. Stakeholders in the cocoa sector say investments in processing capacity, quality standards, and branding will be critical to competing effectively in global markets. Governments say expanding value-added cocoa exports remain a key priority in this drive to increase foreign exchange earnings and ensure greater economic benefits for cocoa farmers in the country.
Around the world this week, geopolitical tensions, economic development, and humanitarian emergencies continue to shape the global agenda. From renewed security concerns in South Africa and the Middle East, wildfire in Europe, and anti-corruption efforts in Asia, here is our international review. Nigeria says 2 of its citizens have been killed in South Africa amidst renewed concerns by a rise in anti-migrant violence targeting foreign nationals.
The Nigerian government has confirmed the deaths of 2 of its citizens in South Africa, raising fresh concerns over the safety of migrants in the country. Authorities say the killings come amid reports of increasing attacks on foreign nationals, prompting renewed calls for stronger protection of migrants and swift action against those responsible. The Nigerian government has urged South African authorities to conduct thorough investigations, ensure justice for the victims, and strengthen measures to prevent further violence. The incident has also renewed discussions about xenophobia in South Africa, with regional leaders and human rights groups calling for greater cooperation to protect the rights and safety of all residents, regardless of nationality. Diplomatic engagements between the 2 countries are expected to continue as investigations into the incident progress.
A Chinese court has sentenced a former senior official to death after finding him guilty of accepting bribes amounting to about $325 million. The case forms part of China's continued crackdown on corruption among public officials.
A former Chinese government official has been sentenced to death after being convicted of taking bribes worth approximately $325 million. The court found that the official abused his position of power to secure illegal benefits for individuals and companies in exchange for large sums of money and valuables. The sentence is part of China's wider anti-corruption campaign, which has targeted thousands of officials across government and state institutions. Chinese authorities say severe penalties are necessary to deter corruption and protect public trust, while critics have often raised concerns about the transparency and fairness of some high-profile corruption trials. The ruling adds to a growing list of cases involving senior officials punished for corruption as Beijing continues its effort to enforce stricter accountability within the public sector.
Growing fuel shortages across parts of Russia are putting pressure on Kremlin, raising questions about whether economic strain and battlefield challenges could influence President Vladimir Putin's approach to the ongoing war in Ukraine.
Fuel shortages in parts of Russia are creating fresh economic and political pressure as the war in Ukraine continues. Reports indicate that disruptions to fuel supplies, rising costs, and concerns over energy security are affecting consumers and businesses in some regions. The situation has sparked debate over whether mounting domestic pressures could force President Vladimir Putin's government to reconsider its military strategy or approach to the conflict. However, analysts say the Kremlin has so far shown little indication of changing course, maintaining its focus on its objectives in Ukraine. As the war enters another critical phase, attention remains on how battlefield developments, international pressure, and economic challenges may shape Russia's next moves.
The situation is bad. There are queues everywhere. Some places have no petrol at all. You can pass 3 stations with no fuel whatsoever, then you have to queue for an hour or 2, or 30 minutes if you're lucky.
I think the situation is not good. They say one thing on television, and in reality, it's another.
These attacks on our facilities certainly create problems. That is obvious. We are currently seeing a certain shortage, though I would say it's not critical.
Iran has launched a new wave of military strikes after explosions were reported in the country's south, escalating regional tensions as authorities assess the impact of the latest attacks and security developments.
Tensions in the Middle East have escalated after Tehran launched fresh strikes following reports of explosions in southern Iran. Iranian authorities say the latest military action comes amid heightened security concerns, although details surrounding the explosions and their causes remain unclear. State media reported that security and emergency services were deployed to affected areas, while officials continued to monitor the situation and assess the extent of any damage. The renewed exchange has raised fears of further instability in the region, prompting calls from the international community for restraint and renewed diplomatic efforts to prevent a wider conflict. Analysts warn that any further escalation could have significant implications for regional security, global energy markets, and international trade.
At least 11 people have lost their life as devastating wildfires continue to sweep through parts of Spain, with emergency crews working around the clock to contain the fast-moving blaze amidst extreme weather conditions.
Spanish authorities are battling a deadly wildfire that has claimed at least 11 lives and forced thousands of residents to flee their homes. Firefighters, supported by emergency services and aerial firefighting teams, are working tirelessly to contain the rapidly spreading flames, which have been fueled by high temperatures, strong winds, and dry conditions. Several communities remain under evacuation orders as the wildfire continues to threaten homes, farmland, and critical infrastructure. Authorities have urged citizens or residents in affected areas to follow evacuation instructions and avoid unnecessary travel as emergency operations continue. The latest disaster has once again highlighted the growing threat of extreme weather and wildfires across southern Europe, with experts linking the increasing frequency and intensity of such events to climate change. Emergency officials say efforts to contain the blaze remain ongoing, while investigations into the cause of the wildfire are expected to begin once the affected areas are declared safe.
Before we take leave of you, let's pick one message that came through. It said, "Good afternoon, please. We thank God for this cleanup exercise. But after removing everything from the gutters, no car comes to carry them. They are all left beside the gutters again. Let the assembly provide vehicles to carry the ballers away, please. If it rains this evening, everything will go back into the gutters again." And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Weekend News Review. Thank you for joining us as we look back at the stories that shaped the week in Ghana and around the world. For breaking news and a comprehensive coverage throughout the week, stay with MBN TV across all our platforms. I'm L. Samuels. On behalf of the entire newsroom, thank you for watching. Have a peaceful afternoon and a wonderful weekend ahead.